enhancements to enhance search for Jira Cloud. We've got some new best practices with Confluence to share with you. We're going to introduce the customer success team. Two wonderful folks are on the call today to say hello to you. And then we're going to see a demo of it creating an comment on an issue with ScriptRunner listeners, so automating commenting on issues. And then we'll talk a little bit about ScriptRunner events. They're coming to a town near you. Sign up today. All right. And now we'll actually introduce the panel. Unlike the last time I said we would introduce the panel that we didn't introduce. Anyway, it is my pleasure to be here alongside Customer Success Manager Paul Brady, Senior Product Marketing Manager Nitin Chan, Customer Success Team Lead Brandon Chin, Product Marketing Manager Reese Smith, and Timothy Threet, Associate Developer in Development Services. You might be wondering who I am. Well, my name is Ryan Spilkin, and I am the Senior Communications and Employee Engagement Manager at the Adaptivist Group, of which ScriptRunner is a part of. But don't worry about all of that. I'm just the guy making mouth noises and getting us through all this mess. So you're here to see ScriptRunner updates. So let's get right into it with the new hotness from Enhanced Search for Jira Cloud. Reese. Hi, Reese.
Hey, Ryan. How's it going?
You know, I can't complain yet, but it's still pretty early. Reese, what is happening with Enhanced Search for Jira Cloud?
So yeah, there's a few updates that have happened with Enhanced Search for Jira Cloud. Going through a couple of UI changes today. So yeah, let's jump in, Ryan. So the first one being the saved and shared filter split tab. So many of you will have seen this. All the changes that I'm showing today are live. But on the homepage of Enhanced Search, on the left-hand side, we split the filters. So previously they were joined together. We had a lot of comments saying that, you know, you couldn't find your filter, or like there were so many on the left that they were taking time to load. Now they're split into two. So created by you is the first ones that you're going to see on the left-hand side. And we've also got the tab of shared with you. So that could be that you're not the one creating your filters, but maybe your Jira admin is creating all of them for you. And you'll see them there in that list. So yeah, this is really nice. We think it's going to make a big difference to your lives and how quickly you can get to what you need in Enhanced Search. Let's go to the next one, right?
That's huge. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say.
Got me excited, Reese. I'm sorry.
You actually told me to say hit you earlier instead of next block, so I'll do that. I'll do that next. The next one, so we're actually looking at how long it actually takes for a search to time out in Enhanced Search. We're aware that we've had comments about this before, so we are looking into it, and extending those timeout limits will be coming soon. In preparation for that, we've made some UI changes that were sort of quick fixes. In the left-hand screenshot, you can see the homepage of Enhanced Search, and you can see that when you type in a query that is actually going to time out, you will now get a message and it will tell you how long that query is going to take to load. Unfortunately, anything above 30 seconds will time out. So this will tell you that you'll need to refine your query, basically. And we think this is a good change. And on the right-hand side, you'll see it'll also appear in the query builder. So if you're someone who builds queries in there, instead of typing them out into the main search bar, you'll also get a warning in there. And in there, we've actually linked how you can refine queries. So if you do see this message, make sure to click that link and you'll get a full page of perhaps how to write queries in a more efficient way. So yeah, those are another key UI change, and we'll go to the next one, Ryan. And finally, the third change that I'm going to be going over today is the loading bar. So on the left-hand side, that's much better, by the way, Ryan. It's a lot bigger. On the left-hand side, you can see the progress bar that will speedily go from 0 to 100% when you're searching for something with not many results. On the right-hand side, you've got a query that actually is going to time out, and you can see the loading bar going up really slow. So in preparation for the timeout extensions that we're looking at, we think this is going to be really helpful because you may not get that message anymore, but you'll have the progress bar, so you know how long it's going to take for it to load. In terms of the timeout extensions, it will be coming soon. We can't put a date on it just yet. But if you keep an eye on the product updates hub, which we'll share a link in the chat, you'll see the update coming there. So sit tight for that. And that's me, Ryan, today.
All right, well done, Reese. Folks, yeah, that's really exciting stuff. Great to see all three of them. Next up, to talk about Confluence best practices with ScriptRunner and Confluence macro migration, is Nitin Chan. Nitin, what's happening?
Yeah,
How can we tell folks about best practices in ScriptRunner and Confluence?
yeah, I'll try my best, Ryan. So, hi everyone. My name is Nitin, and I'm a senior product marketing manager for ScriptRunner for Confluence. Today, I will be walking you through two topics. The first topic is on a best practices guide, like Ryan said, and this is a guide that we have developed for ScriptRunner for Confluence Data Center app. And there's another topic that I'm covering, which is a case study on migrating macros from Confluence Server to cloud. So without wasting any time, I think, Ryan, we can go to the next slide and let's talk about the best practices guide. So we have often heard from our customers that they know that a lot can be done using ScriptRunner for Confluence Data Center app, but they're not sure what all can be achieved. So we listened to this sentiment, and our product manager, Alexis, and technical writer, Emily, they created a guide just for our customers who want to get more done through our app for Confluence Data Center. This guide is live on our documentation site and covers best practices on 11 Confluence categories that include managing data, users, spaces, and a lot of scripting resources. Now, let me show you how this guide looks like on our documentation site and how you can access it. I'm going to start sharing my screen real quick. 1 second. Okay. So if you go to our documentation site, which is docs.adaptivist.com, you have to click on ScriptRunner Atlassian. And over here, you will see our app, ScriptRunner for Confluence Data Center. I'll just click on this, and in the menu item, you see best practices and app management. I'm just going to click on this one and let the guide load. So there you go. This is our guide. So as you can see on the right side of my screen, in the table of content, we have 4 different categories here. The first one is managing data. Then we have managing users, spaces, and the last one is other documentation, which covers further, best practices reading. It has sections around app management and a lot of scripting resources. Now let's look at some highlights of what this guide includes. So in the first section, which I mentioned, managing data, on the left side you see that we have a section on cleanup and consolidation. So a lot of hyperlinks and library of content which can guide you through how you can make sure your Confluence instance is clean and the way you want, nicely organized. And on the right side, you can see there's a dedicated section on integration, which talks about how you can connect your Confluence instance to databases, external or local. If you want to connect your Confluence instance to apps like Jira or Slack, there are resources over here which you can leverage. If we scroll down further, you'll see that we have sections around migration, search, and indexing. And then we also have some analytics over here, which talks about how the content engagement looks like on your Confluence instance. Down here, we also have a library of content, which tells you best practices around access, security, and performance of your Confluence instance. The second section is about user management. So on the left side, you can see that we have hyperlinks, which are going to take you to documentation, which is going to talk about how you can better manage access and permissions. And we also have user license management. So if you have say, for example, users who are not actively using your Confluence space and you want to deactivate them. So, over here you can make use of the information. So a lot of use cases and scenarios are being covered over here. Let's see what else we have further down here. In the third section, you'll see a library of video content, which really talks about how you can create and manage content hierarchy, how you can manage your spaces a lot better with ScriptRunner. And then the last section really contains further best practices, which includes audit logging, setting up your development environment, how you can test your code, and version control. There's a section dedicated to app management, which has further information, and then plethora of scripting resources down here on this page. I'm sure some of you will find this guide to be a helpful resource for your day-to-day Confluence data center operations. We'll be dropping a link to this here so that you can access it easily. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to go back to our presentation deck.
Yeah. That's a nice, there's so much great stuff in that page. Go on, then. Sorry.
The next section, like I said, is about a case study that I want to talk about, which is on migrating Confluence macros from server to cloud. I want to do some context setting here. So we often hear from a lot of our customers that they use a number of macros on their on-prem Confluence instance. And one of the reasons why they are hesitant to migrate to cloud is because they're not sure if all of the macros in use will carry over to their new cloud instance. They're conscious of the fact that not migrating the macros properly will lead to the removal of macro content from the migrate pages. So really, an important concern. Now, Smartmatic is one of our customers who showed us how they navigated the complex Confluence migration process, which involved a huge number of macros that are tied to 700 Confluence spaces containing 22,000 pages and used approximately by 2,000 users within their company. So definitely a decent to big size Confluence instance. The biggest challenge in front of them was that most of their Confluence pages were built using templates that relied on macros to customize their appearance. Not all of these on-prem macros have a cloud counterpart, so a simple transfer of these pages wasn't a possibility. Some macros might transfer over but display incorrectly, and others would be lost in transfer, and the information they contain might be gone with it. Now, let's deep dive into how using ScriptRunner for Confluence, they applied a custom search and replace script and CQL escalation service job to ensure clear content display on their migrated Confluence cloud pages. Next slide. Yeah. So I'm just going to walk you through like steps that they followed. So the first step for Smartmatic was to compile a list of all the macros in use on their Confluence server instance. Then they took each macro and researched whether there was a cloud equivalent or how they would look and function after the transfer. This information was then used to determine whether the macro could be replaced by a cloud equivalent or converted to a ScriptRunner custom macro. If neither of these options were possible, the macro was to be removed entirely and only the macro content would be displayed on the page. Their goal was to ensure all content stored within these existing macros would be displayed legibly on the cloud page. Then the third step was they created a script which was for each specific macro. As you can see in the screenshot on the left, a script was created to replace a comment macro from a third-party application with a page properties Confluence macro. Now, you must be wondering how they found all the pages with macros. They had 22,000 pages, right? They used a SQL escalation service job to find the pages containing each macro. So they could replace the macro directly on the page. This SQL query was set up to look for pages containing each macro and run a custom search and replace script for each resulting page. The custom search and replace script would then parse the page, select the route, and either remove some parameters, replace the macro, or remove it altogether. The last step for them was, because due to the large number of pages in their instance, they had to run these script in batches using the escalation service. As you can see on the right side of the screen, a job was created for each macro category. So it was seemingly a complicated process, but Smartmatic used ScriptRunner custom search and replace script and SQL escalation service job to make things easier for them. I hope this was useful for anyone with cloud migration on their radar. If you're considering migration, our team is here to help you support and guide you through the process. There's one last slide that I want to cover, Ryan. So I do want to mention that if you have any thoughts on cloud migration and want to share your challenges and point of view with me, I want to invite you to a 45-minute one-on-one session where we can talk all about migration. And to really sweeten the deal, I'll be giving you a $100 gift card for your time. We'll be dropping a link here where you can book some time with me, or you can simply scan this QR code, which you see using your phone to book time with me. So that's pretty much from my side, Ryan. And thank you so much, everyone. Ryan, take it away.
Nitin, thank you so much. That was really incredible. I'm curious, and I'm just asking that I don't mean to put you on the spot here, Nitin, but did Smartmatic do that migration themselves, or did they get some help?
They took some help from us, and they also had their in-house team, which was pretty technically sound. So it was a combined effort.
Nice, very nice. All right, folks. If you have questions, we're not taking questions live today, but please drop your questions into the chat or into the Q&A feature in Zoom. We want to make sure that you are satisfied. All right. Thanks again, Nitin. Let's keep it moving with an introduction to our customer success team. So Brandon and Paul, it's your time to shine.
Thanks, Ryan. Hi, everyone. I'm actually very excited to be here today to formally introduce myself and our team in customer success. So my name is Brandon Chin, and I lead our customer success team here at ScriptRunner, and I'm based out of Toronto. I've been with ScriptRunner for about 2 years now, and I've been focused on getting ScriptRunner feedback, having discussions around migrations to cloud, and sharing all the cool things that we're working on for all of you. A little about me. I have an 18-month-old and actually expecting my second child next month. I also have a mini Labradoodle, which we unofficially call our first child. So I'll have my hands full in October. I'm also a very big basketball fan. So my wife and I have this goal to see an NBA game in all 30 stadiums across the US and Canada. And we're at 14 out of 30 right now. So if any of you on this call are in the US and want to invite me to a game and talk ScriptRunner, I'll be there. Also with me today, I have my North American counterpart who actually started the same day as me at ScriptRunner. So I'll pass it to him to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name's Paul. As Brandon mentioned, I joined ScriptRunner about 2 years ago. We were on the same day, so it's been a fun ride so far. Basically, as a customer success manager, and the reason why we're doing this is to make sure that you are getting the most out of ScriptRunner. That's our goal. That's our achievements that we're trying to do. And really just taking in your feedback and providing that to our product team is what our forte is. A little bit about me, since Brandon stole the show with all that. as you can see, I'm a pretty big sports fan. So I'm an avid NFL and NHL fan, self-proclaimed barbecue expert, and a 5-time long drive champion at my local course, not worldwide, just my local course. I'm also headed to the Monday.com event Elevate later in the month. So if anyone is going to be attending that, feel free to come by the ScriptRunner booth. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you. And with that, I will pass it back over to Brandon for the grand reveal of our website.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, so Paul and I are here to share the launch of our customer success webpage on our website. And we'll go through as well and share what we do, who we are, and how you can get a hold of us. So let me share my screen. All right. Perfect. So I guess here's our customer success webpage, which is now actually live on the ScriptRunner website. It can be accessed through various parts of the website, but the main spot can be through Contact Us. So if you're looking to get a hold of us, you'll scroll down and you'll have an option here where it says set yourself up for success. You can click schedule a success call and it will actually take you to this webpage. But the bigger question is, what does the customer success team do for ScriptRunner? Well, wherever you are in your ScriptRunner journey or wherever you are in the world, we're here to help you get the most out of ScriptRunner. So we do a lot of things, but we focus on a few key areas. Here, product feature and walkthrough. So going through a demo, showcasing all the features of ScriptRunner with examples and use cases. Best practices and inspiration. So we can help you get the most out of ScriptRunner, looking into how to use ScriptRunner, how you can use it more efficiently, as well as going through what is possible. If you're new to ScriptRunner and not sure where to start, we can help you learn about, we're here to actually listen, to learn about your pain points and share how ScriptRunner can help you and share resources on how to get you started. And the hot topic over this year and the last few years, actually, migration. We can help you prepare and ensure that you know what you're getting into before making that move to the cloud. We can go through the differences of cloud versus DC, share resources, assist with questions on security and compliance on the cloud, and as well connect you with our experts to assist you with making that move to cloud once you are ready. Or in general, if you have ScriptRunner questions or feedback, like what's on the roadmap, or I wish ScriptRunner did this, we're here to listen and take that feedback directly to our product teams. We're actually a direct extension of our product team, so anything you share with us will go directly to them. As well, if you're not sure where to go for a question about ScriptRunner, feel free to reach out to our team and we'll point you in the right direction. So that's a little bit about what we do. I also want to share who we are. So I know Paul and I introduced ourselves. We both represent the North American region. So we support anyone in these time zones. But we also support the EMEA region. And we have 2 senior customer success managers on our team, Bobby Bailey, who a lot of you may recognize in our YouTube videos demoing ScriptRunner, or at our events that we have throughout the year. We also have Nick Bruff, who a lot of you may recognize in the Atlassian community, commenting and answering a lot of your questions that you post there, as well as some of the events that we have throughout the year. We also support our growing APAC region. So we have 2 customer success managers in APAC, Sean Chua, Senior Customer Success Manager, and Ling Ing, Customer Success Manager. And both of them are also very active in a lot of the events out in that region as we continue to grow. So if you attend any of our events, we're likely to be there. Come reach out, feel free to stop and say hi to us. We'd love to chat. We are a global team and we're here to support Monday to Friday around the clock. So don't hesitate to reach out. So I guess the next question is, how can you reach out to us? Well, on this website, we have various buttons here that you can actually either book a call with us. So if you click schedule a success call, it'll take you directly to a meeting link, which you can select a time. It's any time within your time zone. It'll It'll book it with the appropriate CSM, depending on where you're located. Or if you prefer, you can actually submit a form, and we'll reach out to you by email. So that's how you can get a hold of us. We're actually really keen on hearing from more of you with regards to any of your feedback, as well as helping any way we can to ensure that you get the most out of ScriptRunner. So that's really what I wanted to share today, and we really look forward to connecting with more of you. I'll pass it back to you, Ryan.
Brandon, thank you, and best of luck on your journey to visit all 30 stadiums. That would be amazing. When you make it to Knickerbocker Arena, you let me know. Wow. By the way, I have to say, knowing yourself and Paul, and then seeing the rest of the team, that's a stacked team, people. Folks, that is a stacked team. Anytime that you get Nick Bruff answering questions for you, you know that joke from the Liam Neeson movie, I have a specialized set of skills and I will find you. That's basically Nick Bruff in the ScriptRunner world. So these folks are an incredible resource for you as ScriptRunner users. Don't hesitate to get on the call with your success managers. They're going to hook you up. All right, moving on. This is going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to this because Timothy is here to demo automatic comment creation with ScriptRunner listeners. Timothy, how are you?
I'm doing well, Ryan. Thank you so much, and thank you for the invite to those who organized this excellent QPU. I'm excited to do a live demo. Those are always fun. Will it go well? Will it not? We'll find out. But in this demo, I am going to show you, as you see on the screen there, the listeners portion of ScriptRunner for Cloud. And really excited to, these announcements are awesome, but it's also fun to kind of see it in action, get into ScriptRunner a little bit. If you were able to join us at our last QPU, you saw my colleague Alberto showing off a script with several really useful API calls in that ScriptRunner console feature, which is more for like one-time script runs and code testing and development. But today I want to focus on a listener, as I mentioned. So what is a listener? It's a really super powerful feature in ScriptRunner that is listening, as you might expect from the name, for whatever event you have predefined. And if it hears that event happening in your instance, it's going to do what you've instructed it to do in response. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to give you my use case and explain exactly what I'm talking about here. So I am a project manager in charge of this demonstrate ScriptRunner demonstration project. And very soon, I know my team is going to be creating a lot of story issues in this project. But we have a really strict checklist for when we are allowed to actually close out a story. Only if the things that I'm about to drop on the screen are completed are we allowed to change the issue status to done. So of course, all the requirements on the ticket, but there has to be a pull request and we need to do thorough spot checking and there needs to be a video created and attached and all of these things that you see here. It's a lot. And my users have told me that they either have like physical Post-it notes on their monitors to kind of keep up and remember, did I do this? Did I do that? Or some digital version on a Notion or a Evernote or something like that that they refer to when they're working on their tickets so that they don't miss any of these critical steps. My thinking, because I have ScriptRunner, is let's just create a nicely robust, rich text version of this with checkboxes that I can drop in as the first comment whenever a new story type issue is created. So to do that, I'm going to turn to script listeners. I don't have any created yet, but we're going to do this one together. So when you navigate to your app ScriptRunner for Jira, you've got script listeners here over on your left menu, as well as in your top menu. And there are a lot of good examples there as well. So I would recommend if you've never played with script listeners before, take a look at some of those or review this video when you get it in your inbox and go and try this one yourself. So for this one, I want to call it something that is going to remind me exactly what it's about. The worst thing you can do is just call script listener ABC and move on with it. You're going to have to come back to it later on. So for this one, we're going to call it definition of done comment. And that should remind me when I come back to work on this in the future, or if there are problems with it, exactly what it is doing. You can enable and disable it here. So if it's something that's kind of in development, but you don't actually want it listening yet, you do have the opportunity to put that on pause while you work on it. But I'm confident today, I think this is going to work. So we're going to leave that enabled. And then we need to tell it what events is it listening to. So it needs to know where it needs to be paying attention. You can do more than one. And I always caution when doing demos and things like these, don't confuse this with what you want to have happen. So we are creating an automatic comment, but we're not listening for comment created. That would only trigger when somebody else creates a comment on the issue at hand. So instead, I actually want to do issue created. Anytime an issue is created under the story type issue type, I want it to be listening for that. So I can start to narrow my scope of this listener down to just listening to things that are happening on issue created events. I also can narrow it down further. Instead of just doing all projects and listening globally, for me, I really only care that this happens on my ScriptRunner demonstration project. So I'm going to select that one and narrow my scope even further. And that way it's not spending a lot of time listening to a bunch of other projects with project managers who don't need this definition of done checklist. So that's my start. I've got things configured here the way I want them. And now I need to narrow it down even further. So I'm not just listening for just new issues that are being created. I only want it to be issues that are stories. And this is where this conditions box really comes in handy. This allows me to narrow it down any number of ways using an expression. A Jira expression is the language that it's being written in. So in this case, I need to access my issue, my event issue, which I have access to this object here. And I need to check the issue type. And each issue type has a name, and I want that name to match story. If this is not true, when the event, when the event triggers, the issue is created, then nothing else below it will run. If it is true, it knows I'm good to go and I can move forward. Now, if you have trouble writing these, I know I just kind of jotted that out here, and it's because I work with these a lot, but we do have a very, very cool expression builder that uses AI and it uses human language where you can go in and say, literally type out, hey, I only really want this to happen on stories. Can you do that? And it's going to know exactly what you're looking for. I've played around with this and had a really, really high success rate with getting back viable Jira expressions for these conditions. So that narrows it down exactly the way I want it to. On ScriptRunner demonstration, when a new issue is created, check and see if it's a story. And if it is, I want to move forward with my comment. Now, how do I do that part? Well, if you've worked in Groovy before, you know that there are variables that we need to set up. And to do that, we're going to do a def statement for this variable, and we're going to call it comment body. Now, I could go in here and I could type in all of the things that we saw in the ScriptRunner demonstration ticket here. You know, I could copy and paste this in, but it's just going to be text. It's just going to be a string. It's not going to have any sort of the rich text robustness that I'm looking for, and it's certainly not going to have checkboxes for my team to be able to utilize. So to do that, this is what I'm going to spotlight that you may not have worked with or known too much about before. Some of you may, some of you may not. It is very possible in ScriptRunner to work with the Atlassian document format, or ADF. And this uses JSON to allow us to sort of order our text in a way that allows us to add in all of those additional things that you would see on a user text box. Colors, bold, italics, imagery, checkboxes, tables, all of those are available thanks to the power of ADF. But it is maybe a little bit complicated when you look at something like this. It takes all 24 lines of this code to result in this one string, hello world, where world is bold. And you can see how that is kind of hierarchically defined here with all of these different nodes in this JSON object. So I need to do this and this ADF format to all of this stuff here, and I need to add in all kinds of things. And I'm going to go ahead and break the suspense. The tool that I'm going to show you is what makes it super easy. It is Document Builder that you can find at these developer.atlassian.com, where you go to your REST API. You also have a document format tab as well at the top. So now, whew, I have access to all of what I am used to. I can take that definition of done checklist, drop it in my ADF builder, And underneath, I'm already actually starting to get real time where it's pulling in all of the information that I have up above. But now I have the opportunity to just style it as I normally would. So I know, of course, all requirements. Let's put that in bold to remind them. My pull request is one that my users have told me they always forget. So I'm going to put that in a dark red. I want all of them to have checkboxes. So I have the action item is what it's actually called here. So I'm going to put an action item button for all of these to give them a visual opportunity to check that off and on once that happens. And I also want my comment when it drops into Jira on that issue, I want it to really be clear what this is. So I'm going to do a header at the top as well. Let's do heading 2, and we'll say definition of done. And you know what, I'll actually even include a divider as well. So this is what I want my comment to actually look like. And it would be very, very time consuming and difficult for me to try and to work this all out manually in ADF. Thankfully, I don't have to. It's already done. The numbers have been crunched, and you can see all of my items are now type of task list, and I've got IDs associated with them, so it knows that state of if it to do or is it done. I've got my text color here for my pull requests. All of that has been taken care of for me in the document builder. Really easy, really simple. I'm going to go ahead and copy this because I know I need this to become my variable here for my comment body. And I'm actually going to define this a little bit better. And I'm going to say comment body in ADF so that I remember what I am working with here, that raw ADF JSON object. And I'm going to go ahead and drop that in. And the second I do that, before I forget and before I move on to anything else, is I want to add this caveat where when you use Document Builder from Atlassian's developer documents, you're going to see a ton of curly braces, opening and closing curly braces for these different nodes, these different sections, but Groovy doesn't like that. So you do have to do a find and replace. And we need to change all of those curly boys into square boys. We need to have square brackets beginning and ending. And the very easy way that I do this without having to manually go through them is just find and replace. Thanks to the Monaco editor, the IDE that we have here in ScriptRunner, you do have access to do a find and replace within your editor rather than within the entire browser window. So I'm going to do a find with Control F or Command F, depending on whether you're Windows or Mac. I'm going to drop down this little toggle arrow so that I have my replace, and I'm just simply going to do a curly opening brace. I want to replace all of those with an opening square brace. And the second button here, if you hover over it, you'll see there is a replace all. You can also do Command Enter or Control Enter to automatically do that. So I'm going to replace all of my curly starting braces with square starting braces, and then I'm going to do the same with the ending braces. And I'm going to find all curly endings, and I'm going to replace all with square endings. And now when I do my search or my Control F find, I won't have any curly braces whatsoever, and I have this beautifully rendered ADF object that is workable now within Groovy. So if you're going to end up using ADF in ScriptRunner, do make that note. You'll get errors if you have curly braces either opening or closing on any of these nodes. All right. So now I've got this raw ADF checklist that looks good. What do I do with it? I need it to drop into a comment. So for that, I turn back to my developer docs. And if you've been working with ScriptRunner at all, you'll be very familiar with these. I, of course, have jumped us straight ahead for the sake of time to the add comment REST API call. This is what I'm looking for here, this /REST/API, where we're going to insert our issue ID and then hit that comment endpoint as a post. So I'm going to copy that so that I have that in my I can't remember if I did it, have that on my clipboard. And I am going to start kind of thinking through how I want to do this. So I know I need another variable. I want a method here. I'm going to call it add comment. And I know it's a post. So far, so good. And I know within those post calls, I need to have my REST endpoint. And it didn't copy, and I knew it wouldn't, even though it said it did. I'm going to do it manually. Sometimes when I navigate between tabs, it copies something else. There we go. All right, so I know I need to end up with this REST endpoint as my post. And I know that from the REST API developer docs, anytime you see these curlies, this is indicating that this is a variable that we need to access. So I'm going to add my $sign so that I get that color change, and I know I'm actually looking for a variable that I can pass in here. And in this case, since it's a listener, I do have access to that same issue object that I used in my conditional, where I was looking for the issue type. In this case, I just need to pass in the issue.key. So that issue.key variable is going to end up where I need it to be. I'm looking at this issue key, I'm hitting its comment endpoint, and I'm doing a post. So far, I'm following what it's asking me to do in my REST API calls. Now, there is one thing that I know of having looked at this, and if I'm going fast, I know it's just for the sake of everyone's time, but as you review this video later, when it comes into your inbox, I do recommend go and read through this add comment page on the developer documents at Atlassian.com so that you can see where I'm getting some of this information. But I know, having gone through this before, I do need to modify kind of what I'm posting a little bit, because I can't just post this raw ADF. This particular endpoint is looking for a little bit more structure than that. So I need to actually set up another variable that kind of is an envelope around this ADF, if that's making sense. And since I like really clear names of things, I've got comment body in ADF. I'm going to set up another variable right below it, and I'm going to call that just comment body, because now I'm actually working with my endpoint. And with an endpoint for a comment, we follow this structure that it shows us in our developer documents. So we need to have a type, we need to have a version, we'll just call this version 1, and then we need to actually have our content. And for us, it is the comment body in ADF. There it is. Thank you, editor, for that auto find. And it's the content of that up above. So this is what I'm actually sending and passing through as the body of my post to the comment endpoint. It's not just the raw ADF, it's what our endpoint is expecting to see with the ADF listed as the content. So again, if that was fast, I definitely recommend read back through some of the developer documents about adding a comment via ScriptRunner. So now let's go back and let's take some more time to refine our add comment method. I know I want to hit that post. And I also know from going through my developer documents that I have some parameters that are pretty standard here. So we've got our application JSON is what we are working with here. And I'm getting, there we go, getting some red lines, but it was because I hadn't stopped typing yet. Don't ever let the red lines in ScriptRunner scare you. It definitely can make you jumpy if you don't keep going and push through. And then I'm going to pass in my body, and my body is in JSON, so I am going to need an import. In this case, I am going to need JSON output because I'm doing this as a post call. And you can also see information related to this in the developer docs as well. So I need my JSON output so that I know I'm working with JSON. We get a squiggly, but it's because I'm never using it, and I'm about to, and that squiggly will go away. ScriptRunner can sense fear. You have to go through with conviction. So now that I have my JSON output, I have access to it. And you can see I get that nice color change. It's recognizing my input. And if I were to scroll back up to the top, you wouldn't see that squiggly line anymore, that it's not being referenced. I'm going to use a method from that JSON output library called toJSON. And this is to confirm that the comment body that I am defining right above is being sent to this endpoint in the JSON format that it's expecting, so we don't have any sort of issues or errors. And then I'm going to do my asJSON method for the entire add comment function. That should be everything. If I've done my job, if I've read the REST API endpoint information correctly, if I did my document builder and my ADF and fixed my curly braces, we should be good to go. Typically with my scripts, I do like to have a little bit of error handling. So I might do a try catch, try this add comment. If not, catch it and let me know what error you got. But one of the things that the REST API documents give us for ScriptRunner that's really helpful is our responses. And in this case, if an issue comment is created, I'll get a 201. Everything else is bad. There's no other variation of if this happened correctly or successfully. So just to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to do an assert statement, which you can utilize in your ScriptRunner console. I'm going to call that add comment method. So I'm going to assert that when that runs, my status is 201. So it's just a quick one-line test to make sure that we are checking that that came back correctly. I get a green checkbox here, which is always a good sign. You don't always get a green checkbox, even when your code is correct, but this static type checking, at least in this case, is telling us this should be good. I'm not seeing any errors before we move on. So I'm going to save this, make sure it's enabled, and it is. I'm going to save this and run it. And everybody cross your fingers that when we come back to this history, we have a green checkbox and not a red X. And if we do have a red X, we're still not going to panic. It'll tell us why. I'm going to cancel out of this. And now I'm my end user, right? So in my use case, I am no longer me. I'm now the person who's coming to create a story. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to make sure I've got my issue type story. And I'm going to say test story 1. You can see I've done many, many different types of testing in ScriptRunner before. And I would go in and I would say, you know, this is my test story 1 description. And I would put in all the things that I do as an end user that we're all very familiar with. My reporters, my priority, maybe that's a high priority, that doesn't matter to my listener, added my labels, all of the things that I would normally do. You'll notice for the end user, there's no indication that there's a listener that's waiting. There's no checkbox that they have to worry about. The listener's doing all of that work for them. And if we cross our fingers and create a story with an enabled listener that's listening for that, we should see on our new test story a comment. I might have to go and refresh it. Possibly. Yes. Took it a second. And we will go. Don't you love a live demo? I know. That's why I always try to do these live. But if it hadn't worked again, we would take a little time and we would go check and it would tell us why. We've got that assert statement and we would get some error messaging back from ScriptRunner, which is great. But now this is awesome, right? My users have this definition of done comment where they can go in and as they work on this ticket, they can actually get nice visuals here. They don't have to save this. The Atlassian document format gives them the opportunity to do these checkboxes and it's remembering the state, the status, which you can see when we do that document builder. You can see that each of these have an ID. So it's doing all of that work for my end users and they don't have to do a thing to have this big eye-catching definition of done on every single one of their tickets. Almost done and almost back to you, Ryan. So as we wrap up, I just wanted to refresh my script listener stage and show you briefly the history. If it didn't work, if something goes wrong, don't panic. That's the number one rule of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Come back here to your history, click on that little icon, whether it's a green check or a red X, and you're not only going to get the logs that you may have included in your script. So in this case, we just get one log that we hit the post as JSON, and it gives us some information there, but you also get the payload as well. So you get the information back from this particular run, my initiating user information, and what was the key of the issue. So I referenced issue.key. This is what ScriptRunner saw. If this was something wild and crazy, then that could be an indicator that I configured things incorrectly or something like that. So you're getting a lot of good execution history here right from your script listeners page or any page with the features that you're working on in ScriptRunner. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, I would definitely recommend going to library.adaptivist.com because, spoiler alert, this is a script that lives at library.adaptivist.com. When we're doing demos, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. We've got some excellent scripts out there. So I always use any opportunity I can to evangelize and highlight that library. Public facing, there is things there for data center, for cloud, for Confluence, for Jira, Jira asset manager stuff. There's listeners and console stuff and jobs. And it's an amazing, amazing resource. I often, even as an experienced developer, will go to library first just to see, is there anything that's up here that somebody's done before that's similar that I can maybe tweak a little bit? So that is my big rep for that. Thank you again, everybody, for your attention and letting me come and do this cool little demo for you. And Ryan, I'll send it back over to you.
Thank you, Timothy. And I just want to applaud your nerves of steel for attempting to write code and have it run scripts live. Good on you. Now, we did
Always
say
a gamble.
earlier that, well, it was very well done, and it executed the first time, which is almost unheard of. One thing I wanted, we said that we're not going to answer questions, but a great question came through on the Q&A, and I think it's worth taking just a moment to address it.
Sure.
David Meredith asked, wouldn't this use case be better by adding subtasks for each of the definition of done things? Then the workflow could prevent you from transitioning because it doesn't satisfy the conditions to transition by the workflow. What I want to say here is that, David, you are not wrong. All right. However, there is way more than one way to feed a cat. Notice the language, right? So really, Timothy's demonstration of listeners is a great door in for listener use, right? When this happens, do this thing. Now, because Timothy used the example of create, and by the way, I did not know about the Atlassian document builder, and that pretty much melted my whatever was left of my brain, right? That was pretty cool. I liked seeing that a lot. However, the demonstration that you gave is just a little door into the creativity and flexibility that is allowed you by ScriptRunner. Yes, there are other ways that you could address the fundamental issue that Timothy was solving there, right? It could be conditions, it could be other things. The important part of his demonstration was giving you that door into listeners. So, yep, you could do it a different way, absolutely.
In the real world, 100% correct. Subtasks would be the way to go. Nobody wants to watch me do that for 3 hours. This was the down and dirty.
That last demonstration was
quick
pretty good. you made it pretty good last time. Anyway,
I'm very flattered, Ryan.
Yes, you can absolutely do it another way, and that's part of the beauty of ScriptRunner. Your business processes can be aligned with the tool in such a way to deliver the value that you're looking for. Thank you for that question, David. That was a really good one. And I see your comment there. Right on. Moving on. So there's some ScriptRunner events coming up, and you ought to know about those because we're coming to your town. We like to party down. We're an American band. Wait, no, that's not it at all. We're not an American band. We're a global software company with a really useful tool. Right now, the ScriptRunner tour is going on, and it is coming to Toronto tomorrow. So if you have some time and you're in the Toronto area from 10 to 19 minus 4 to 5, we're doing a whole day. We're going to feed you. We're going to ScriptRunner you. And if you'd like to register, there's a QR code in this slide. You'll also be getting a link in the chat. Come say hi and hang out with us in Toronto. We're really very friendly. Most of us. Not many of us bite. None of us bite. Okay, and if you are headed to Team 24 in October, man, do we want to connect with you in Barcelona. It is from the 8th to the 10th of October 2024, and if you've been living under a rock on LinkedIn, maybe you haven't seen anything about it yet. But Team 24 in Europe is going to be a great time. ScriptRunner, as a major part of the Atlassian ecosystem, will of course be there in full force. We want to see you. We want to answer your questions. We want to hear your feedback. So you've got a registration link here on this slide as well. Please come say hi to us. We really are pretty friendly. Our parties are known to be pretty good. And if you give a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge in Barcelona, we'll get you in, okay? You tell them I sent you, and then they'll message me on Slack really mad that I sent you. Anyway, yeah, so come see us at Team 24. And last but not least, we appreciate you so much. We appreciate you as our users. We appreciate you as our customers. And we want to make sure that we are giving you what you need. So please, when this webinar closes, you will be sent to a survey. Please take just a moment or two to let us know what you think and what can make webinars like this even more useful to you as our valued people. All right, so I want to give a special shout out to somebody who didn't get shouted out earlier, and that's Lisa Murray. She's behind the scenes running all of the questions. She's the ScriptRunner HQ, and we could not be doing this without her. And Jess Thompson in the background. We also have to thank Katie, who is not with us, Katie Perkins, who is not with us today, but has made all the work to make this happen. Also, my fellow colleagues, Nitin, Timothy, Paul, Brandon, and Reese, We're so thankful to all of you, and thank you for being here. We look forward to connecting with you any chance we get. Did I say something about new events being available? Well, just keep an eye on the ScriptRunner HQ, the website, and as to listen for issue update events. Sorry, yeah, I understand, not actual in-person events, but we will follow up with your questions, Tom. Good shout. I'm sorry, I was in live event mode when I answered that. We will follow up with you through the email afterwards. For anybody who sees Tom's question, we'll get that answered for you. All right, panelists, am I missing anything? Or are we ready to wrap this guy up for today? All right.
I think we did
I'm
perfect.
seeing Timothy shake his head no, so that
Perfect timing.
means wonderful. Thank you all so much. We are truly grateful for you, and we are grateful that you were here today. We couldn't, without you, none of this matters. So thank you. Be good to each other, and we'll see you next time on the ScriptRunner Quarterly Product Update. Cheers, everyone.